Let's talk about an aircraft that is just full of incredible contradictions. The B-1 Lancer. I mean, this thing has the blistering speed of a fighter, the payload of a heavyweight bomber, and, let's be honest, it looks like something straight out of science fiction. It's affectionately known as the Bone, and its story is all about power, politics, and just pure resilience. So let's find out how this comeback kid of the skies really earned its wings.
You know, that description just nails it, doesn't it? The B-1 was designed to be the ultimate bomber, a true marvel of military engineering. But its journey from a blueprint to actually getting into the sky, well, that was anything but smooth. It's a wild tale of a bomber so advanced and frankly so controversial that it was canceled not just once, but twice, only to soar back stronger each time.
So you might be wondering, where does the B-1 actually fit into America's bomber fleet? Well, among the Air Force's 3 strategic bombers, the Bone occupies a very specific and very powerful niche. It's not really a stealth bomber in the pure sense of the word, and it's not just a high-altitude bomb truck either. No, it's something else entirely.
Okay, let's break it down. Think of it like this. When you need total, absolute surprise, you send in the stealthy B-2 Spirit. When you want a persistent, looming presence that can just hang out overhead and strike at any time, that's a job for the good old B-52. But when you need to get a massive payload on target and you need to do it fast, flying low and sneaking under the radar, that's when you send in the Bone. That is its specialty, rapid, low-level penetration.
To really get why the B-1 was built this way, we have to rewind the clock all the way back to the late 1950s. At the time, sophisticated Soviet surface-to-air missiles were popping up everywhere, and that meant that flying traditional high-altitude bombing runs was basically becoming a suicide mission. A whole new approach was needed to get past these advanced defenses.
So the new game plan was something called terrain masking. You fly low enough for the hills, the valleys, and even the curvature of the Earth to hide you from enemy radar. And that, right there, created the need for a totally new kind of aircraft, a penetrator bomber, that could handle these long, punishing flights at really low altitudes. This need gave birth to the Advanced Manned Strategic Aircraft Project, or AMSA for short. And what came out of the AMSA project? The B-1A. And let me tell you, its goals were incredibly ambitious. This thing was designed to be a true replacement for the B-52, capable of screaming past Mach 2 at high altitude, while also being able to dash at supersonic speeds just a few hundred feet off the ground. The first prototypes took to the skies in the mid-1970s, and it really looked like the future had finally arrived.
Yeah, but the B-1A program had one massive problem: the cost. What started out as a $40 million per plane estimate back in 1970 had absolutely ballooned to a staggering $100 million per aircraft by 1977, mostly due to runaway inflation. The dream bomber was quickly becoming a political nightmare.
The B-1's journey was a total political roller coaster. After years of development, President Jimmy Carter made a really dramatic announcement in June of 1977. He was canceling the B-1 program entirely. Just like that. It really seemed like it was the end of the line for the supersonic bomber.
So, why did he do it? Well, it really came down to 3 things. First, the cost was just way too high. Second, new air-launched cruise missiles could be fired from B-52s at a safe distance, which kind of made a penetrating bomber seem unnecessary. And third, and this is the big one, Carter knew about a top-secret project to build a true stealth bomber, what would eventually become the B-2 Spirit. All of a sudden, the expensive B-1A just looked obsolete.
But here's the fascinating twist. The very project that helped kill the B-1A is what brought it back to life. In 1982, President Ronald Reagan revived the program. You might ask why. Well, it's because that top-secret stealth bomber, the B-2, was taking much, much longer to develop than anyone expected. The Air Force needed a stopgap, and the B-1 was the perfect answer.
Now, the revived aircraft, designated the B-1B, was a totally different beast. It sacrificed the B-1A's extreme top speed for something way more valuable in the modern era: stealth. The engine intakes were completely redesigned with these clever S-shaped ducts, which hide the highly reflective engine fan blades from enemy radar. This one change dramatically reduced its electronic signature.
And that trade-off was absolutely worth it. While it was slower than the original prototype, the B-1B was far, far stealthier. To put it in perspective, its radar signature is just a tiny fraction of a B-52's, about 1/50th to be exact, making it so much more survivable. It evolved from a pure speed machine into a quasi-stealthy penetrator, perfectly suited for the mission it was born to fly. All right, so we've covered the crazy history. Now let's get into the good stuff. What makes the B-1B so legendary? It really all comes down to 3 defining characteristics that set it apart from pretty much every other bomber in the sky. First up, payload. And this is just mind-blowing. The B-1B can carry 75,000 pounds of conventional weapons internally. And get this, that is the largest internal payload of any bomber in the entire U.S. inventory. That's even more than the B-52, which is a much, much bigger plane. Second, we're talking sheer power. Those 4 General Electric engines produce a combined 120,000 pounds of thrust with the afterburners lit. I mean, that's fighter jet level performance on a 400,000-pound bomber, giving it absolutely incredible acceleration and speed.
And that power isn't just numbers on a page. It's something you can feel. As one B-1 pilot put it, when you're in the airspace and you plug all 4 into max, you can just feel the kick in your pants. It's an aircraft that feels every bit as fast and powerful as it looks, a true hot rod of the bomber world.
And finally, there's its agility. And that's all thanks to its iconic variable sweep wings. Just like the famous F-14 Tomcat, the B-1 can literally change its wing shape in flight. For takeoff and landing, the wings sweep fully forward to 15 degrees, which gives it maximum lift. For efficient cruising, they're in a mid-sweep position. And then, for those high-speed, low-level penetration runs it was designed for, they sweep all the way back to a sleek 67.5 degrees, turning this massive bomber into a nimble, ground-hugging dart. It just gives it unmatched flexibility.
So with all this incredible capability, how has the bone actually been used? Well, it started its life as a nuclear bomber, but the START Treaty in 1994, which was a nuclear arms reduction agreement, mandated its conversion to a purely conventional role. And you know what? In that role, it has proven to be an absolute powerhouse.
I mean, just look at these numbers from the war in Afghanistan. In the first 6 months of Operation Enduring Freedom, a tiny fleet of just 8 B-1s dropped nearly 40% of all the bombs delivered by coalition air forces. Think about that. It consistently punched far, far above its weight.
This incredible capability proved to be invaluable to troops on the ground. During the fight against ISIS, B-1 crews dropped their entire massive payload in a single mission, a move they call going Winchester, on 31 different occasions. When ground forces needed overwhelming air support, the bone delivered, time and time again.
Which, of course, brings us to today. The B-1 was saved from the chopping block because its replacement, the B-2, was delayed. Now, a new stealth bomber, the B-21 Raider, is in development to replace both the B-1 and the B-2. So here's the question. If there are delays in that program, could the twice-canceled bomber get yet another lease on life? It would be a fitting final chapter in the incredible story of this indispensable titan of the skies.